but I thought I'd show you how I would make a stencil. So I have a list available in the MTC Toots in a file called Cutting Font Organization. So I opened that document here, and it has a list of stencil cutter fonts. So all of these fonts, most of them are free, some of them are not, but most of them are free. And I've used these from time to time as stencils because maybe they aren't standard stencils, but the letters are mostly can be used so that the centers don't drop out of the letters. So you can download this file. It's in, again, MTC Toots Yahoo group. It's in the Files section under Introductory Files. So if you were to go into the Files section and then scroll down to Introductory Lessons right here, and then go to the file called Font Organization, then you'll get that document and that list, and you can check your list to see your list of fonts if you have any of these, and you can load them in to Make the Cut without loading them into your Windows system, and use any of them with Make the Cut. Now let's suppose that you have a title that you want to do. It was mentioned that they were looking for something to do etching in glass. So I could select a font. To select a font, you go to Text and Fonts and just find the font that you want to use. Let's say I'll just select Impact, and again I'll just use the Happy Birthday, and let's say I wanted to do this in glass, and I didn't want to use a stencil font, but I just wanted to use another font. But I can make it a stencil font by using the eraser, and this is one of the suggestions offered at the forum. Well, I click on the eraser, and I'm going to set this maybe to 3 millimeters. Depends on the size of your letter. If your letter was real huge, you might use 5 millimeter. Make sure inverse eraser is not selected. Now you could hold down the Control key and just drag and let go, and now you have a letter where the center won't fall out. If you don't want it to be an obvious stencil, you want it to still look like a letter P, you could just hold the Control key, that makes the line straight, and just do part of the letter. And when I do that, it does put a hole in between here so that this center part won't fall out, but it's not as obvious that it's a stencil. I could do the same thing with this A. You want to make that break big enough so that you can pull that out of your vinyl. If you're cutting a vinyl stencil, you don't want the vinyl to tear or to stick because the opening's not big enough. And I didn't clean this up really. I'd be a little more careful doing this. In fact, let me show you. I'll zoom in. I'll type 4 and 3. And you see right here it's kind of messy. I'm going to undo and show you that when you do this with the eraser, you would, I can hear your thoughts, Brian.
Sorry.
You can jump in if you want, I know. There are different ways to do this, and if you're real good with your mouse, you could do this with no jaggies. And you would just open up a pathway here. And probably if I didn't want to be so picky about making this line straight, I'd probably just do it right in the middle over here. But Another way to do this is to use the node editing tool, which is the second arrow at the top, and just click that line and delete it, and then click a line and delete it. Then you can draw in your left click and right click, so that then you have a nice straight line. You don't have to worry. In fact, I probably would take this up a little bit more. Just left click, delete. Now I use my pen tool to connect it, left click, and right click. And then I have a cleaner letter, and I would probably just go back to my selection arrow, delete this letter P, hold Control and Shift and drag, and just use the same letter since I have it twice. You get a nice clean break that way. Or you can just do a quick one with your eraser tool. So those are two options. If you want to go all the way through, you can get kind of a nice clean break this way. Hold the Control and just drag down, and you get that kind of font. Otherwise, you can select a stencil font. So if I click on this down arrow, I go down to the S's. I have several stencil fonts right in my folder. ST, there's Stencil, Stencil STD, Stencilia, Stencilia Bold. So let's say I take this one, and you have to get out of node editing mode to add more. So I'll go to, again, the same thing and accept that. And you'll see that it's already a stencil font. So you may want to start with a stencil font that somebody's already done the work for, or you can make your own out of the font that you want to use. It doesn't matter which font that it is, and whichever suits your needs the best.